conversation. We are planning to proceed today, to proceed with our greatness, to proceed with our plans of action, to proceed into the best versions of who we're going to be. We are planning to get to it. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast with your girl Toya, and this episode is called Planning to Proceed. So if you have been listening to these last couple of episodes in sequential order, you know that this first 3 months of the year that I'm calling my 4 quarters of focus, we've been talking about planning. And so with this being the last week of March, we are rounding out this planning phase and we are stepping into the phase that I'm calling proceed, right? And so this last episode, I wanted us to start to talk about what it looks like to plan to proceed into the greatness that you have, into the things that you want to do, into the person that you want to be. What does it look like to plan to do that? So y'all know I love me a good old definition. So I looked up the definition of the word proceed. And the word proceed means to begin or to continue a course of action. The operative word there being action. So in my mind, when I'm thinking planning to proceed, I automatically think that this is that I am planning and being ready to do work. The planning phase is chill. It's lax, right? The planning phase is simply just writing things out that you want to do, getting the ideas in order, putting down who you need to talk to, putting down who you don't need to talk to anymore. Because remember, we talked about sometimes when we're in this planning phase, we have to understand that we're going to have to let some people go. But planning to proceed is understanding that you now are going to do the work. We are no longer being idle. We are no longer taking notes. We are no longer letting people filter information into us. We stepping and we heavy stepping into things, into our goals, into our visions. So that's what it means to proceed with something, but you have to plan for what that looks like. Because when you proceed with this course of action, remember, our plans are for us. So what you're stepping into may not be something that the people around you understand. It may not be something that you can rely on your old friends to help you do because they don't get it. It's not their dream. It's not their vision. So stepping into the proceed phase is going to be a little bit lonely. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. But the word proceed means to take action. You are going to get tired. You are going to get tested. You are going to get weary. But you have to plan for that and understand that when those situations arise, it's all a part of the things that you have already planned out in this first phase of stepping into your greatness, right? And so thinking about the definition of proceed, meaning to begin or continue a course of action, I then had to realize, well, what is action? So action is a fact or a process of doing something, typically to achieve an aim. And it's the aim part for me, typically to achieve an aim. So when you're planning to proceed into something, you have to know what you're aiming for. If you want to successfully proceed with a course of action, you have to understand what you are aiming for. This is where intention comes into play. This is where the concept of knowing and being clear on what your end goal is comes into play. Because if you are not planning to aim for something, you just got slow motion. You just have idle motion. You're moving, but you're not progressing. And remember, last week we talked about progress. Just because you're moving doesn't mean you're progressing. Proceeding with action, proceeding with achieving an aim, proceeding with a clear vision and a clear purpose is what you have to plan for. So this last phase, before you go and do it, before you go and leave that job to go to the next one, before you leave this relationship, before you jump into this next relationship, you have to have a goal for it. What is it that you want to get out of it? What is it that you want to be able to give to it? Because all of these things have to be planned for. Y'all heard 1,000,000,000 trillion times you can't pour from an empty cup. When you're giving out action, when you're proceeding with action, you're going to be pouring. So do you have enough to pour? When you don't have enough to pour, how do you restore? Oh, that rhymed. That was for somebody. But when we're proceeding with action, you're aiming for something. So you know that everything you are giving, everything that you are losing, everything that's going to confuse you and make you stumble is all for a purpose because you're aiming for something. When you proceed, okay? When we're running in place, we don't have a destination, right? You might be building up stamina because you're moving, but you're not progressing. You don't have an aim. You don't have a goal. So when we're planning to proceed and you're planning to step into that phase of action, you are absolutely having to be clear about where it is that you want to end up. Okay? You calling me out. I'm calling everybody out. Just moving around, doing nothing. Moving around, wasting up space, wasting energy. And now you're too tired to actually be effective when it's time. And that's just that on that. Okay? When we're going into this phase where we're planning to proceed, you have to understand that you have to, one, be ready to do the work, like I said, and you have to trust yourself. You can't step into action and not trust it. You can't not trust the plan that you just put into play. If you've been following me for these last 4 weeks, we have been actively and intentionally planning. So you now have to trust yourself. Because you're stepping out on plans that are only suited towards you. They're not suited towards a crowd. They're not suited towards your family. They're not suited towards the things that you were taught growing up. They're suited to you. And you have to trust it. You have to trust that you got you. Because if you ain't got you, then you ain't going to get got. You ain't going to get what you're trying to get to. So you have to really understand and trust. To trust the plans that you've made because you've done them with intention. You've done them with your best interest at heart. So when you're stepping into proceeding, when you're stepping into this action, when you're stepping into aiming for a particular goal, you have to trust yourself. And you have to trust that you've studied long enough. You've planned long enough. If you are anything like me, baby, I'm a plan. I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to have an idea. I'm ready to pivot. I'm ready to write some things down. But you have to step out of the study phase. You've been a student long enough. At this point, it's time for the student to become the teacher. And sometimes it's time for the teacher to become the principal. Elevate. Okay? Trust yourself. You've studied. You've planned. You got your emergency toolkit when shit get out of line. You already know what to look for with the red flags and people and situations and jobs and things. You're ready. And you got to trust that. And you also have to trust that when things falter, you can go back and revise a plan. Plans aren't permanent. Some of y'all didn't plan for the situations that you're in now. You don't get into a relationship planning for it to fail. You don't come out of a heartbreak, or you're not sitting in a heartbreak thinking that you're going to find the love of your life. But you have to understand that sometimes you have to be ready to pivot. Okay? Another part of planning to proceed with your actions and your goals and your dreams and your visions, you have to be ready to put yourself in position. So when I was thinking about this episode today and kind of where I wanted to go with it, that's what I kept hearing in the back of my mind is put yourself in position. Put yourself in position. And so recently I watched the movie Hidden Figures. And don't be talking about me. I know I'm a little late on curveball. Excuse me, but I was thinking about NASA, and I was thinking about spaceships, and I was thinking about astronauts. Before a spaceship is able to take off, before it's cleared to take off, they do all the planning, all the calculations, but the ship still has to be in perfect position before it can go to the moon. I'm going to say it again. Before a spaceship has to take off, it has to be in perfect position that aligns with those plans and all those calculations before it's clear for takeoff. Put yourself in position. And what does that look like? That might look like there's some people that are carrying baggage aren't around you anymore. That means you have to let go of fear. Fear can't go to space with us. Can't go to the moon with us. That means you have to let go procrastination or the idea that things are going to come easy. You got to let that go. They can't go with you. Because just because something is your purpose doesn't mean that it's easy. And we get that mixed up. We think that because something is difficult and we're not getting the hang of it right away, that it's not for us. No, nobody said that your purpose was going to be painless. And I've said this to y'all a time or two. Purpose doesn't mean painless, but you have to be in position. You just got to reposition yourself to take off. So when you're planning to proceed, you have to make sure that you are in the right space with the right people. And sometimes, and I'm still thinking I'm an astronaut, right? Because my goals are astronomical and yours are too. So I'm still thinking that way. When a person who's going into space is getting in position, it don't look comfortable. They're not sitting in a rocket ship like this. They ain't chilling. They ain't chilling. You're tight. You closed in. That might mean if I'm going to tell y'all my business, I'm in the process of moving. I need to downsize. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. I need to downsize my living space. I need to downsize the amount of money I'm spending. I gotta get tight. Because that's the position where I can launch further. I can't launch too far if I'm holding on to a lot of things. Okay? Mass, gravity, force. I can't go far if I'm holding on to too much. So getting in position, don't think it's just sitting and chilling. Like, yeah, I got the job. Yeah, I'm in a relationship. Yeah, I got the marriage. Yeah, I got this bag. But you still have to be in position to handle it correctly. Purpose is not always going to be comfortable. You got to put yourself in a position to handle the blessings purposefully. Because you can get a blessing and fumble it. You can get a bad bitch and fumble her. You can get a top dollar job and fumble it. Because you weren't in the right position to handle it when you took off. Don't y'all know all these people, musicians, that's why one-hit wonders exist, right? They had that one hit and they thought they was about to take off, but they got too big-headed. People are celebrities filing bankruptcy. You thought you had it, but you fumbled it because you weren't in position, and you overcompensated, or you didn't make yourself humble enough to be able to go back and reset. So planning to proceed, you have to keep clear vision of the aim. The aim has to be intentional. And I may be wrong. Let me know if y'all disagree, but I don't think your aim should be tangible. I think it should be internal. If your aim is just to make $1 million, cool. My plan is to continue to make millions of dollars, to invest millions of dollars, to have millions of dollars always flow to me. Because I can get $1 million and not know what the fuck to do with it. I can get $1 million and go buy $1 million house and have zero the next day. So planning to proceed is having a specific and purposeful action. It's not tangible. It has to be internal. My goal is to impact as many lives as possible. My goal is to set my grandkids up for success. My goal is to own my own business and have it flourish. To have people that have aligned visions that align with mine. My plan is to, yes, I'm the podcaster, but eventually I want to have a team of people whose purpose is to do what it is that helps me in my vision. Stop making y'all goals so tangible. You know what I mean? Migo know what I mean. That's why he out there whining. So you have to understand that planning to proceed is getting yourself a little bit uncomfortable, but making sure you're in the right position. Making sure you're in the right position with the right people and the right things. And then the last thing that I want to leave y'all with, because y'all real quiet in the chat, but I trust that y'all hear Guthrie in here. Sis always ready for whatever. When you're planning to proceed, it is going to be scary. You got to let it go. You have to make you proceeding with your goals and your plans and your visions about you first. I know. That's hard for some of us that are parents. That's hard for some of us that are the friend that is always relied upon. That's hard for some of us who our partner might not have it all together, or they might not be as driven as you. But you got to make sure that you're planning for you first. Because you can't make sure that everybody's good if you're not. You know what I mean? Your purpose has to be able to fuel you so that you can then fuel other people. Y'all know my favorite poem by now is Our Deepest Fear by Marian Anderson. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. Shrinking does nothing. As you let your own light shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. Because as you're liberated from your own fears, your presence will automatically liberate those around you. And you have to trust that. You have to trust that your light is going to shine on the people who need it, not the people who you're used to having around you. And that's what you're afraid of. You're afraid of your circle changing. Loyalty sometimes gets us fucked up. My favorite episode of my own podcast, if you haven't heard it, is Toxic Loyalty. Sometimes we're toxic to things that we've outgrown. We've let time make us loyal to shit that no longer serves us. We've made commitments to things that we didn't even have intention for, and now we're afraid to step out of them or step away from them because what somebody else thinks. But baby, that ain't their vision, that's yours. If they're not willing to accept you as a changed and innovative person, that's just because they're not. And you can't take them with you. They're not ready to launch their rocket ship. They're not in the right position in their own life, in their own story, in their own narrative, in their own mental space. So you got to understand that you have to ditch the fear. When you're planning to proceed with some shit that's just for you, you have to plan to lose out on people. You got to plan to miss a couple turn-ups. You got to plan for somebody to say you fake because you're not showing up how you once were. It's not that I'm fake. I'm not able to do that right now. Right now, I just had a conversation with a friend where I was like, yo, I ain't been at turn-ups because I ain't got shit to celebrate. I ain't crushed no goals. I ain't hit none of my goals. So what I'm out taking shots and celebrating? Nothing. And if that upsets some people, oh, well, I'm sorry. But I'll be celebrating with ballers when I get to where I'm supposed to be. So stop making fear the thing. And when you're planning to proceed in action, you have to plan to lose out. You might lose out on some money. You might lose out on some space. I'm telling y'all, like, I just went and looked at a studio apartment today. I live in a 2-bedroom. To get where I gotta go, baby, I gotta lose out on some space. To get to where I'm supposed to be appreciated, I'm gonna have to lose out on a little bit of money, maybe. But it won't be forever. Losing out is temporary. And ain't nobody gonna know you losing out unless you announce it. That's our problem, too. Y'all talk too much. Just because you are losing out, you don't even got to announce it. I'm not announcing that I ain't going out and kicking it because I ain't hit none of my own personal goals. I just know that's for me. And when I do pop out and I am popping bottles and I am celebrating and I do pull up in a new whip and I am buying a house and I do got a new, you know what I mean? You going to know why then. Just because you are losing out or you're downgrading or you're humbling yourself, everything doesn't need an announcement. That's our problem. We feel like we got to announce. Oh, wait till you... I'm planning for some big shit. Do the big shit. Right? Wait and see. Nobody cares. That's you. You got to be the only one that cares. You got to care so much that you don't care to say shit. Wow. You got to care so much about your own dreams, your own vision, that you don't care to say a thing. I care about this so much that I'm going to quiet the noise and do the work. I care so much about it for me that I don't got to tell you shit. You know what I mean? I love y'all too. Hey, Nene. Hey, Brock. Hey, Woodland. Exactly. Keep that mouth shut. Exactly. Because then you going to feel pressure. So here's what I realized about giving people constant updates of what you going through or what you're doing or what you're plotting and planning for. Is if you're anything like me, I get annoyed when people constantly like ask me about some shit that I'm working on. Because I work at my own pace. I hate to feel rushed. I take my time with my shit. And so if I'm telling somebody, yeah, I'm planning to do this, I'm going to get a little bit annoyed at some point if they're constantly asking me about it. Or I'm going to get down on myself if I just know I haven't met that mark yet. Quiet the noise and do the work. You're going to get to where you have to go when it's time for you to get there. Right? And you have to trust that. When you're planning to proceed into something new, you have to plan to disappoint some people. You have to plan to disappoint some people. Because a lot of people are comfortable with you being where you are. A lot of people are comfortable as long as you are helping their vision, but not necessarily feeding your own. And people are going to try to convince you that you should stay here. You should stay settled. This is good. We love you here. I don't, though. I don't love me here. I'm not best served here. I'm not best serving here. You know what I mean? And you got to be so confident in that. And it's going to disappoint some people for a little bit. And if they really your people, they're still going to clap for you when you start to do what's for you. The people who really love you want to see you do what you love. Not what they love you doing for them. I hope I can say that again. The people who love you are going to love seeing you do what you love. Not love seeing you do what you can do for them. Or something like that. Y'all got it. Oh, people don't like them new boundaries. They don't. When you're going on to proceed, when you're going on to aim for something bigger and something greater, you have to plan to adjust. You gonna let some people down. This new thing that you got going on don't make sense. Somebody gonna tell you crazy. Somebody gonna want to have 1,000,001 conversations about it. Well, I'm trying to understand. Well, sometimes you don't need to understand. You need to just accept or move around. Well, I just want to know why, because there's greater for me here. Because this is healthy for me in the way that I need to be healthy. This is taking care of me in a way that I need to be taken care of. This is feeding me in a way that I need to be fed. You know what I'm saying? And so when we're proceeding, and again, proceed means to begin or continue a course of action. Action meaning do. Get ready to put in the work. Plan to be tired. Plan to be lonely. Plan to be disappointed. Plan to fail. Plan for all of those things with your aim and your goal and your mission being the biggest and brightest thing, though. All of these things are going to happen, but this is why. It don't matter all of the things that you fail at or where you fall short when you're taking these courses of action. As long as your steps of action are intentional to your aim, you good. I promise. And you have to trust that. God didn't give you vision for no reason. God didn't continue to nag you about something for no reason. If you are proceeding with something, you have to understand that you are proceeding for you first. And then there's going to be times, and here's something that I realized: when you're going into something new or going into something for you or stepping out on faith or leaving something that's been familiar, the people around you are going to question it. But you have to be clear and understand that you don't have to answer every question. No comment is an answer. Not right now is an answer. We can talk about this later is an answer. I'm busy is an answer. Guess what's also an answer? Mind your business is an answer. As long as you got you good. Okay? So, with that being said, I hope that you all have written down all the things that you are planning to do, the people that you need to lose, the habits that you need to pick up, all of the things that are going to propel you forward, because next week we are stepping into the proceed phase. So all of the things that we're going to be talking about for April, May, and June are going to be action steps. You're going to see me making some action steps. I'm going to need you all to support those action steps. And if you don't, oh well, I'll see you at the top later and you can see me away from where you at. But we actually get into it. That's good advice, because when you're stepping into unfamiliar territory, you yourself also will question things. Absolutely. You're going to question things because it's going to be new. You're so used to planning and studying that the action is going to feel weird. Just like I talk about babies all the time. They don't come out the womb walking. That shit wobbly. It's like, what is this? It's unfamiliar territory. Keep your eye on the prize, though. And understand that the discomfort is going to come back. When you hurt yourself, you go through physical therapy to regain those strengths back. Same thing here. Okay? Stepping into something new is always different. I think about, y'all know I teach, so I always think about the procession of a new, school setting. Going from preschool to kindergarten feels new and scary. Going from 8th grade to high school is new. It's uncharted territory. Going from high school to college. Going from college into life. You know what I'm saying? And going into having roommates and living alone. Paying bills on your own. Doing taxes. All of those things are new. But they just are signals to something higher and greater that you're getting closer. And if you know me, you know my favorite song is Closer. Closer to my dreams. You're getting closer. Right? Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. Get ready to do the work. Get ready for sleepless nights. Get ready for changes and people, places, things. But get ready to grow. Get ready to learn. Also think about those positive things that are going to come. Think about how much you're going to be at ease once you get to where you got to go. Right? So I don't want to overspeak this topic because we have to get to that action. We planned for 4 weeks. So now we got work to do. So next week, I don't even know what the episode is called, but we are proceeding with our plans, y'all. This is going to be the first episode in the first month of our second quarter of our 4 quarters of focus. We are proceeding. We have planned January, February, March, April, May, and June. Baby, we get into it. I got plenty of things that are in store for y'all that I'm so excited about, or in store for us, because y'all know y'all my friends at this point. But yes, planning to proceed. Make sure that you are ready to get to the work. Make sure that you trust yourself. Understand that it might get tight, but keep your eye on the prize, because when you launch yourself, you have to know where you're going. Okay? So, thank you all for joining me right here on Universal Teas, the People's Podcast. If you have not already, go ahead and check me out on YouTube at Universal Teas TV. Like and subscribe to the podcast. Share your favorite episode with the person you know needs to hear it the most. And I love y'all, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.